Okay, so yeah, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
First question, just where are you from? What's your name? And yeah, how do you end up in Costa Rica?
Where I'm from is always a bit of a tough one, but I'm from Hong Kong. I grew up there, spent most of my life there, but I was born to an English father, a South African mother. My name is Simon, and I'm in Costa Rica as the last part of my 8-month Latin America trip. Yeah, that's what brings me here.
Nice, very cool. And what were you doing prior to this trip?
Prior to this trip, I was a travel agent in Hong Kong. I've always worked in the travel industry. I was a tour guide before that, and a hotelier before that.
Perfect. Yeah, so pretty well versed in travel. Seems like you've been doing a lot of it.
Much better now, yeah. I like the actual traveling part of it. Working for it is different. I gotta have to find my way to make it balance, make it do both.
I believe it. And yeah, so what's been is this your first time backpacking around, or?
No, not my first time. I did my first trip, sort of solo trip on my gap year after high school. I've always kind of had those itchy feet, or that wanderlust kind of thing, where I've always wanted to go and explore uncharted territory and see what I see.
And I'm sure you've had a lot of crazy stories that have come with your travels.
Those that I can remember.
Yeah. What have been like some of your favorite memories from the last couple months? Do you have a specific day that you just remember so clearly and vividly, just best day ever, basically?
There've been a lot of those days where you feel like best day ever. So to draw one out of the hat after 7 amazing months is not easy.
No pressure.
As far as Costa Rica goes, let's just keep it simple. It was probably the day I just arrived in San Jose. Wasn't quite sure what I was doing. It was raining. Things just weren't really looking up. And I met this awesome fellow traveler from near Toronto.
Yeah.
And the next morning we were both kind of had the same plan. We wanted to go to the West Coast, do some surfing, chill by the beach a bit. And she seemed cool. And so the next day we're doing a bit of research, bouncing ideas off of each other. And she asked me if I know the bus schedule. And I'm like, no, I had to go down to reception anyway.
Yeah.
Go down to reception, get the bus schedule, and also the car rental deal. And so come back up with the various options. And she's like, yeah, car rental sounds good. Let's do that. And so we then set off the following day and did a week-long road trip together. And that was just great. You know, how magic can come out of nowhere like that.
Yeah. And how long did you know her for? Like
Less
up until
than 24 hours.
Damn. Crazy. So, based off that, you meet a lot of cool, interesting people on your travels, right? Do you have someone that's been what's one of the people you've met that's been like extremely interesting or crazy, or just like a character that you're not gonna forget about?
Well, this girl is one.
Yeah.
And let's see, who else? Are you talking like locals or?
Either locals or travelers. Okay. Either or.
All right, there was another guy at the Salinas in Manuel Antonio, and I don't know what he did professionally, but whatever it was working, because we'd be sitting there at breakfast and suddenly 5 beers would arrive for 5 people.
Yeah.
And we'd be like, okay, cool, I don't mind a little beer for breakfast, fine, no problem. And then fucking 5 tequilas would arrive, and you're like, oh dear God. So we had a big day, big night, and then we kind of drunkenly booked deep sea fishing together.
Always a good call.
I barely remember paying. Like literally, they could have charged us anything. We're all at the counter, like swaying, paying to go. And the following day, off we go, and had a great day. Caught like more than 9 mahi.
Wow.
It was awesome.
Damn, it's a lot of mahi.
Yeah, we caught so many, we had to start putting them back. Like we couldn't even keep them.
Wow, that's awesome. And do you have a favorite country that you've been to on your travels in the last 8 months?
It's hard to pick one again. Peru is really up there. I always try to now think, because that was my first stop, whether I was a bit like biased and I had that kind of like I was in that honeymoon period, and that made everything in Peru more unreal, but it really had it all for me. I did a surfing trip at the end with an old like university friend. I did the Inca Trail. I did lots of mountains and hiking and awesome stuff, but also beach time and great food and nice locals, and that really stuck with me. But I've had an amazing time everywhere I've gone. It's really hard. Cuba was the one that maybe stands out slightly more negatively. But other than that, each one has had its pros, definitely.
And for what reason was Cuba not the best?
Mixture. You know, it's never just one thing. One thing you can kind of like put down, isolate it, squash it, and move on. But it was a multitude of things. There were some personal issues going on, and the fact that I had money issues. So in Cuba, none of my bank cards worked. It's quite a common thing, and so not having access to money meant that I luckily brought like half my month's budget in cash.
Yeah.
But under the impression I'd be able to get more, and I couldn't. So I had to cut down on what I could do and how far I could go, and you know, like the experiences that I could have, and make it really budget. And that's never so fun.
Yeah, don't want to cut anything too short.
So it's not really Cuba's fault, but Cuba had it. Yeah, Cuba was cool. The locals were really friendly, safe place. So I don't mean to be knocking Cuba. It was just my experience mixed with the personal issues going on.
Yeah. Poor timing.
Yeah, just one of those things. But I'll go back and erase that memory with a good time. So cigars and convertibles.
And is there a way to like come back from a low point on your trip? I know that a lot of people think that you're traveling for 6 months, 8 months, like it's paradise, it's perfect. But little do they realize sometimes like you do have those lows.
Totally. I think a lot of people that have never done a trip of a significant length being maybe more than 3 months, they don't understand that it's not a holiday after a while. You kind of find a plane, a cruise control, and it definitely does have its ups and its downs. You know, a lot goes on while you're away.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, yeah. So, sorry, what was the question? How do you deal with a low like that?
Yeah. How do you
get out
come
of a
back
low?
from that low?
One step in front of the other. Wake up every day. Listen to yourself. Listen to your body, your mind. Ultimately, I think people want to be happy. They want to be having a good time. So when you're not having a good time, there's a reason for it. But you'll just have the faith that you'll get back to good times again, and you will.
Yeah.
Lose the faith. What are you gonna do? Go home early? Like, no.
Right. So true. And in your travels, I'm sure that there have been many moments where there's a big cultural shift where you're not used to, just how people go about their day, what the culture is like, all that. Did you go to any places where you're like, wow, I'm in a completely new place, everything is foreign to me, kind of like blown type of scenarios? Any of those?
I think Brazil had that for me.
Yeah.
I didn't go to your stereotypical Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo. I went to Salvador, and yeah, that was kind of like, whoa, that was a shock to the system. I'd been in Latin America a while, but Brazil has its own flavor, and Salvador was hectic. You know, there were big like parties and drum circles and things on the streets.
Very cool.
Kind of like marching bands, but Brazilian style. So that, I think, yeah.
Nice. And during your travels, did you see any acts of like kindness within, with the people you're traveling with?
For sure. With
Any
the people I'm
specific
traveling
ones?
with, I mean, one was one of the ladies at one of the casas I stayed at in Cuba. She showed incredible kindness towards me. She really took me under her wing. I like explained the situation to her, and she helped to make a plan for me, like really cut the cost of the room and everything. I was able to cook for them before leaving, so that was
nice.
That was definitely a sweet moment. But I've felt one of the best things about traveling is that it helps restore your faith in humanity. Like I've had so many charming, whether it's a moment or a few days or just seeing people be good to one another despite religion, despite race, despite everything is, I think, why I do this, why I love this, because that's what it's all about.
Sure. I could definitely relate. When I was in Thailand, I had a moped injury, and I had the 6 stitches, and it was right after I met a guy, just during breakfast. We wanted to go get food and go on a hike. And he stayed like by my side for like the entire day, like didn't have to whatsoever, was there for me. And then I ended up being stuck in a flood in Thailand at one point. And I'm at a restaurant and basically there's flood water all around me and I can't get my knee wet. because that shit is really dirty.
Yeah.
And basically, like 5 people all together end up trying to figure out a way to get me out of there, and these 2 Australian dudes carry me on my back. This other person gives me a bag to cover my knee with. Like another person helps out in another way. And
Resourcefulness.
yeah, we find like a little windy path like up the hill, and then another person carries me, and it was like something for a movie. But after that, I was like, wow, like there's so much more kindness than there is negativity in this world.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. Could definitely feel you there. And in America, a lot of people, so hostel, as you know, like hostels aren't as big in America, unless you're in like New York City or San Francisco, but otherwise they're just not as popular. I think part of the reason it was that movie Hostel, if you've ever seen it.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, every American's seen it, and they're basically always like, yeah, aren't hostels really sketchy? Aren't they dangerous? So on and so forth. What's been your hostel experience like? Like, would you recommend them? If so, why? And do you have a craziest hostel night from your travels?
Okay, so do I like them? Would I recommend them? Hells yeah. I think when you're traveling, there's nowhere better than a hostel. You meet really friendly people. This is where they come. I'm getting on in my years now. I'm 30, so I appreciate the nicer things like a private room, a double bed, an ensuite bathroom. Those are nice. You can find them at hostels sometimes. You just have to pre-book. So, yeah, the whole dorm bed thing you may outgrow, and I totally get that. But the vibe in a hostel, like even this one where we're at now, super friendly, and just I love the hostel vibe. I'm happy to be doing it, but I'm getting over the dorm bed thing.
Yeah.
And then to go to a wildest hostel experience, I'm gonna have to go back to La Paz, Bolivia.
Okay.
The Wild Rover is the name of the hostel. It's like
I've
Irish
heard
themed,
about that.
and basically like a solid portion of people come party there from all around town, locals and people staying there, and shit was just off the chain. I think they did it was a traffic light party. So
Okay.
we all were color coded, green, yellow, red, which is kind of nice.
Single, taken, that type of thing?
Single, complicated, taken.
Complicated.
Yeah,
I like that.
so I had the it's complicated because you don't want to be too easy.
For sure.
But that was just a nice touch. And then they did one of the things that stands out before we were all dancing on the bar and shit got a bit wild, and before we went out. They did a massive, I think it must have been about 35 drinks, where they line them up with another shot glass on top, and then the lucky girl who like starts it, knocks the first one, and they all tumble down into each other, and they're going, what?
That's awesome.
So it was good.
I cannot wait. It's gonna be legendary.
Yeah, it is legendary stuff. I've heard about your best night so far on your trip, and your weekend sounds great, but you've got many more ahead.
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of best nights, a lot of great nights. Have there been any scary moments on your travels where you wound up in a sketchy situation where you didn't feel too comfortable, or got your shit stolen?
Yeah, so that happened to me in San Francisco, of all places that I've been. How did it happen there? Because I'm an idiot and I left things visible in a car on the street in San Francisco. So that was the worst thing that's happened on my trip by far. I think I'm pretty good at mitigating risk by this point. You just got to keep your wits about you and sort of know where you are, speak to people around you, and stay with others. And I'm all about mitigating risk. I don't want to be in that dodgy situation where you suddenly like, oh shit,
Yeah.
So yeah, it hasn't been bad. Besides going to basically pick my friend up from the airport who was coming for the wedding, and finding my back window knocked out and all my stuff in the car gone.
That's San Francisco for you.
And T-Mobile lied to me. So you like them, I fucking hate them, because they lied to me and said it would be a 1 month contract, but it was 21 days, and so it ran out that day. So I had no Google Maps. Imagine trying to get from like downtown San Francisco to the airport with no map. I was like, God, I'm like going on the sun. I don't know what the fuck. So that was rough too. But it all worked out in the end. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Stuff is only stuff. There were two, maybe 3 things that really hurt from all that was taken. My GoPro footage I hadn't taken off for like the months before it was stolen, and the diary that I've been keeping every day that I haven't had the heart to start up again because it Like
That's tough.
It
That's
just
tough.
hurts so bad. And it's not the first time a diary's been stolen. And my suit for the wedding that I had custom made and I only ever wore once in my house. Looked at myself in the mirror and then put it back in the bag and never again wore it. Like,
Oh, that's shitty. Did you just buy like a quick one at the?
no, dude. Bought it in Hong Kong. Nice tailor.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean
the
like
wedding,
for the
yeah.
wedding.
Luckily, I had a friend of a friend who was able to sort me out. He had 2 suits with him, or he lived in San Francisco.
That's
Was able
good.
to bring another suit. Had the same waist size. I looked a bit like an American gangster, but that's all right. We were in America.
I heard that Hong Kong does make the best suits.
Oh, they do a good job. King's Tailor.
King's
Speak to my
Tailor.
man Arnold.
Arnold. Okay, you got a go-to guy.
Oh, big
That's
time.
awesome.
He's Caribbean. He's the fucking bomb.
Really?
He looks at you. He sizes you up, and he's like, okay. He, like to make my shirts. He didn't even get a tape measure out, and I come on to try like the
Wow.
the pre-fitted
That's
one, and
insane.
it's just perfect. I'm like, damn, dog.
Damn, I need to see that. That's awesome. To anyone that's contemplating or on the fence about going traveling for an extended period of time,
Do it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
why?
For
Why?
sure.
Why not just chill back?
Well, hey, it doesn't have to be for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, I've got to be conscious of that. But to get out of your comfort zone, to see people from other cultures, other creeds, other religions, other races, countries, everything, it cannot help but open your mind and make you see the world in a more wholesome way. I think more than most cultures, Americans need that. You know, there's plenty
Definitely
of
see
Americans
that.
that don't have passports and they need to get out and see the world for what it is. It's not this little America's great, don't get me wrong, but it's there's so much more that you just can't do in America. Yeah, you can go skiing in America, but you can't go skiing in Switzerland in America with like the hot chocolate and all that good stuff.
Right,
So get out there. I mean, there's something for everyone, so you don't have to do what we're doing and do Latin America. Go whatever interests you, but go somewhere new. You know, if you're not going somewhere new every year, I don't know what you're doing with your life.
Definitely respect that. Correlate. Were there any hidden gems on your travels? Like any specific ones that you're not gonna find it on a typical tour book or anything like that? Just you stumbled upon
Stumbled upon it.
a little location where you're like, wow, this is amazing.
Well, a hidden gem.
Yeah.
I feel
Most
almost on
gems
this
are-
trip, I feel bad going
Yeah.
into it, but Zion National Park
Uh-huh.
is a gem in itself. But the hidden gem about that is you do all these amazing, there's all these options for incredible treks. You get a wilderness pass through an overnight. You can do canyoning, all this epic stuff. And then when you finish your day's worth of activities or a couple days of activities, you come out and there's a craft beer place that does fantastic beer, amazing food, burgers, all that stuff. That to me was just like, this is that feeling when a man gets exactly what he wants after something. I had that feeling at that place.
Perfect beer, burger, and views.
Yep.
Can't complain. Definitely can't. Okay, now I'm gonna just ask you a couple rapid fire questions, and just do your best to answer them. Favorite meal in your travels or cuisine? Have you
Favorite meal would be
experienced?
chicholinas in Cusco, Peru. It
Okay.
was a recommendation from my friend who's from Peru, and it was just phenomenal. Like Peruvian, Japanese, Italian fusion, just high level bomb ass shit. Like so worth spending the money on. So
Peruvian food's like incredible,
good.
right?
It's good. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. Especially, I like the coastal stuff more. Like the standard mountain people stuff is
Yeah.
just same old rice, beans, meat, onion, peppers. But ceviche and all of that, they do better than anyone in the world. So they've got that fish know-how. And just check out Chicholinas.
For sure. And if you could only choose one item to bring with you on your journey, not essentials like toothbrush and t-shirt, but like one item under $100, what would it be?
I don't know if it's under $100, but you can get them for under
Yeah.
$100. Probably a good Bluetooth speaker.
Okay.
I think having music on the go makes the world a difference. Chilling by the beach with a new friend, chilling by the beach with music with a new friend. It's like, it changes the game.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, I think, a good essential to have. And get a UE boom, for God's sake. It's waterproof. You can take it to the beach. Like mine's broken because I didn't get a UE boom. Jam box.
UE boom. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. I'm still need to get that. You need a waterproof one, especially.
Waterproof, sandproof, partyproof, whatever.
What was your most interesting experience with a local?
Trying to think. And I have this problem where it's not that I don't have anything, it's that I
Yeah.
have too many. I
Too
don't know
many.
which one. Shit, totally made friends with this guy Renato in Brazil, the northeast coast, Jericoacoara, a kite surfing paradise.
Yeah.
And this guy had one of the kind of like drawn out bars.
Yeah.
And he was just super friendly. I mean, I was buying a few drinks, but he was super friendly. I ended up like hanging out with him behind the bar a bit. He introduced me to some of his friends, and we would like go kite surfing on the weekends together. Like we actually made friends. So that was cool.
Yeah, always nice to hang out with the locals as well.
Definitely, it's important.
Yeah, one thing I messed up on in Thailand, I just ended up sticking with backpackers the whole time.
Yeah.
I think it's just because Thailand has so many at this point. But yeah, one of my regrets is like I never really hung out with the locals. Like actually hung out, not while on tour. But yeah, that's
It can
one
be
thing.
hard when the language barrier exists.
Yeah.
It can be difficult. Sometimes they don't want to hang out with you. It
Yeah.
goes two ways.
Very true. Very true. Do you have a book or documentary recommendation that has to do with travel? Or a movie?
A movie?
Yeah. Anything that has been
Gives you those
pretty
itchy
influential feeling.
Lonely Planet?
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I haven't really been reading those kind of. I've read those books a while ago, but I don't know. I think, Into the Wild is like a holy grail.
Yeah.
Of books, travel books. It doesn't have the best ending. Like it doesn't work out so well for him. But it's epic. And what else? I don't know. Yeah, I think a series that everyone should watch or make their children watch is the Avatar: The Last Airbender. This
I actually
TV
love that.
series.
Yeah.
That is so
The animated
good.
one, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just got so many
It's
life
awesome.
lessons done in a beautiful way.
It's
Like,
really good.
I watched it all with my ex-girlfriend again, brought her through it all, and we loved it. She fell in love with it. We watched Legend of Korra afterwards. Like
Nice.
it's so good, and I think that instills a bit of a wanderlust in a way. Like, okay, it's a fantasy world, but
Yeah.
they go all these new places and meet these new people, and da da da. Our life is there are parallels between real life and that.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on the Avatar. I love that series, and it's so well done. It's amazing. Last question here. I don't know, what would you tell anyone that's debating whether or not to go solo on a trip? Because a lot of people want to go on these trips and they end up, they have the opportunity to do so, but none of their friends are available, or girlfriends, or they have to deal with life and whatever comes with that. Really want to go on the trip, but